Call the meeting to order for December 10th, 2019, the Planning Zoning Commission, the local planning agency. We'll start with an invocation and a pledge, and let's see, I think, can I get you to do that this time? I realized I forgot to ask you before the meeting. Sorry about that. Heavenly Father, as we come together, we thank you for the opportunity to come together as a meeting group to help determine future of our city. We ask that you give us the wisdom for good decisions tonight. We ask a blessing on all of our first responders as they keep us safe. Please keep them safe. We ask a blessing on everyone for the holidays. It's coming off the Thanksgiving holiday and coming into the Christmas holidays there, and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. We ask everybody be safe and enjoy the holiday. We ask a special blessing for our military, Lord. Wherever they are in the world, keep them safe and bring them home to us. We ask all of this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And with that, we'll ask for a roll call for quorum. Madam Chair.
Chair Keller.
Present.
Vice Chair Williams.
Present.
Member Lomnick.
Here.
Member Mellon.
Here.
Member Wunderlich.
Here.
Alternate Member Forges.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All right, thank you. And just before I ask about the consent agenda, I am going to want to say welcome to Lou Forges, as you heard, as alternate member. For those of you who may have missed something, the City Commission did determine that we would have an alternate member. They'll be sitting in on the meetings. Should one of the regular members be out, then they would get to vote. As all 5 of the regular members are here, then they don't get to vote that evening. So tonight we've got everybody there, Lou. So you just sort of get to get broken in nice and easily here. So, but Lou will be joining us going forward. So welcome, Lou Forges, to our meeting. Thank you. And with that. Consent agenda for the minutes for the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for November 12th. We need to have a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion to approve.
All right.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Member Mellon, a second by Member Lomnick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. We do have some old business tonight. From the last meeting, we had a continuance of the Rotondo property variance. This is a public hearing, and we will turn it over to zoning manager Gajardar, and take it away.
All right, good evening, Commission. The item in front of you right now is a variance to the Rotondo property located at 108 East Orlando Avenue. As you can see, it's located directly south of Ocoee Elementary and East Orlando Avenue, east of Lakewood Avenue. The lot is part of a proposed lot split and a deeded right-of-way. So currently, it's not split yet. The zoning for this parcel is R1 AAA, and it is surrounded by a mix of R1A zoning here, R1 AA zoning here, and R1 AAA zoning here. This is the proposed lot split. Now the variance, in order for the lot split to be approved, the variance would need to be approved. We saw the use in having, instead of having such a large lot, we were able to cut that into 2 to meet R1 AAA zoning, which requires a minimum lot width of 85 feet. So with that lot, we would create, with the lot split, we would create one here with a width of 101 feet. The second one would have a width of 85, so both would meet R1 AAA zoning, as well as the required 10,000 square foot minimum, which is, here has 14,000, here has 12,000, a little bit over it. The remaining parcel just is just short of the minimum by about 5.31 feet, but far exceeds the minimum requirement of 10,000 because it's running at around 18,000 square feet. So we saw that there can be a use for having this lot to meet the minimum zoning variance. So really the variance is requesting the minimum lot width to go from 85 feet to 79.69 feet. Like I mentioned, the R1 AAA requirements, the minimum square footage is 10,000. The minimum lot width is 85. So for the proposed lot, a little bit under 19,000 square feet, far exceeding the maximum, the minimum. 79.69 lot width, so 5.31 feet away from the minimum required. The variance, so the lot is consistent with the surrounding zoning because the R1A zoning requires a 70-foot width. R1AA requires a 75-foot width. So this lot being 79.69 would be consistent with the surrounding lots. And the variance approval would allow for a single-family residence to be built on that lot once the lot split is complete. And to summarize, the Development Review Committee unanimously agreed for approval of the variance so that the home can be built there. And staff also does not oppose and agrees with approving the variance for the minimum lot width. And we also have the applicant who'd like to speak.
All right. I was going to say, give me a second until I guess you do speak before the public hearing, so go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Scott Banta, 97 Hickory Tree Road, Longwood, Florida. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've very much enjoyed working with your staff. We concur with the staff report. The only thing I'd like to add or a couple things, is directly across the street, the lots across Lakeview are 75 feet, so we are in excess of those. And we picked up a 33-foot long piece, which is attached to the bottom of the subject lot, which was owned by Orange County through tax deed. We bought the tax deed and then added that to it. And then Lakeview is only 30 foot of right-of-way, so we're dedicating 20 feet of right-of-way to make Lakeview consistent with 50-foot right-of-way in the city. So we've been working with staff to make this all happen. So I'm here to answer any questions, and if you have no questions, happy holidays, and thank you again.
All right. Any questions of staff before we open the public hearing?
I did forget to mention, right here, you can see where the property line is for the south properties. There is a 25-foot difference here. So with the lot split, we would be getting a dedicated 25-foot right-of-way. So we're correcting some issues as well within those lots. Right here is empty. There is a home to the north part of it for the proposed lot 1. The reason why this lot is 101 feet as opposed to the minimum 85 is because we're making sure it meets the zoning setbacks. So it's 101 here, and then the other lot would be 85. The lot proposed for the variance would be right here for the 79.69.
All right, I'm assuming y'all got all the survey data correct, and I guess last time there was like 3 different surveys with 3 different information, with
Yeah,
data.
it's been kind of funny because the surveyor changes one little thing like up at the top, and it changes everything all the way through. So I brought the surveys down, and then Keel went through them, and so we had a little problem here, so we fixed that problem. And then again, it kind of shifted down. So we went through it about 4 times, and Keel finally got us to the point, and our surveyor, that I think we have everything perfect this time.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Additional questions? All right. This is a public hearing, so we will open the public hearing and ask if there's anyone who wishes to speak on the issue. All right. Hearing none, we will close the public hearing and bring it back up to the board and see if, let's see, this one we only need 1 motion. And that is on, let's see here. Make sure
The variance.
Yeah, it's just the variance itself, so, all right.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the variance. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Member Mellon, second by Vice Chair Williams. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. There you go. With that, that gets us to new business. First piece of new business is going to be the Comfort Inn Mainstay Suite Properties on Colonial Drive. This, again, is a public hearing with an annexation and a rezoning. And we will turn it over to, let's see, Planner Hines for this one.
Okay, so the next project is the Comfort Inn Mainstay Suite. The property is actually two parcels. You have a parcel here located on Marshall Farm Road, and that parcel there is 1.17 acres. And currently it's zoned A1 rural agriculture in Orange County. You also have the parcel here on the south, which is located on Colonial Drive, and that parcel is 1.2 acres, and it's currently zoned C2, which is general commercial for Orange County. This property here, if you look, let me go to the next slide. Actually here, you can see it better on the area view. The applicant actually owned this piece of the parcel too, which is, it's already part of Orange County. I mean, it's already part of city of Ocoee. And they're basically just annexing these two pieces of the property to be in the city of Ocoee. So all three could be in the city of Ocoee. And what they're recommended is the applicant would like to rezone. Once they annex in, they would like to rezone to C2 commercial, and that's in line with the area here because as you can see, most of the surrounding area here is C3 or C2, and this is the parcel I mentioned earlier to you that it's they own that and they're just going to annex these two parcels in. In total, when they're annexing these two parcels in, both of those parcels are 2.38 acres. And then this is just further showing the future land use map. But as you can see, if they do annex into the city or rezone to commercial, you can see that's kind of in line with the future land use map as well because all the surrounding area is commercial. So when we met at the DRC, we did recommend to allow the annexation and rezoning, and it will be rezoning from A1 and C2 in Orange County to City of Ocoee C2, which is community commercial. And the staff also recommend for us to rezone this as well. We didn't have any objection to it. So if you had any further question, I can also answer those about the annexation.
All right, and we will bring that back to the board. Any questions at this time? All right, hearing none. I don't know, is the applicant here?
Yes, I believe the applicant is here.
Do you need to?
Hi, my name is Tom Files. I'm the general contractor and also the owner's rep for the project. John Hughes also here. He's going to be the main investor and developer. We're excited to hopefully move forward with this development. It's a dual branded property. I don't think there's many in or around this area, which is a little bit unique, and it'll offer 120 minimum. We're still working through the footprint to see how many guest rooms we can offer, but a portion of which will be extended stay and a portion of which will be limited service, and it is a choice branded international product.
Okay, and I think I just need your address. You gave a name, but I don't think you gave the.
2302 Southeast 15th Street, Ocala, Florida.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, and I also did forget to mention, C2, it does allow for hotels, so that's why we're designated that for the C2 and not the C3, because it allows for a hotel to be built.
Okay, thank you. So with that, let's open the public hearing. And do we have anyone from the public who wishes to speak on this? Yes. All right. No, you need to go up to the mic, and do make sure you fill out a form before you leave, because we need to have a form from you.
I'm Jay Lake. I'm representing the Family Trust,
And also, Jay, an address.
726 Magnolia Street, Windermere, Florida. our family trust owns the property right next door on Marshall Farms Road.
This property?
Yep.
The green or the red behind it?
Maybe this is a better image here.
It's this one right there.
This parcel here?
No, it's the one that, you know, where it goes up, here, let me,
Just north of it?
Oh, just north, this
Yeah.
parcel here.
yeah, this one.
Okay. Yeah, there's an aerial view of it too. Right here, the parcel.
Right, that one right there, exactly. And so we have a house there, and, you know, it's an individual, single-family house, and, you know, my concern is, you know, it's zoned agricultural, single-family, it's been there a long time, and it's gonna be commercial right next door. I'm Orange County, not in the city of Ocoee. So my question is, if this goes through, will there be city of Ocoee water? And is it a chance for us to get annexed in? You know, because our water's bad there.
Yes, you will be.
It's a rusty well, so. And is that enough space for the developers, what they have to do what they've got? I mean, is it gonna, I'm concerned with it,
Yeah.
the rainfall filling up, it's kind of low there anyways.
And they're just a big brand-new ditch right there?
So, for the record, Mike Rimmer, Development Services Director. I have a little bit more history on this than Greg on the proposed hotel, which is being designed. The purpose of acquiring this piece of property was solely to give a secondary access onto Marshall Farms Road. This is all conservation wetland. A majority of this lot is wetland. The hotel will end up being somewhere right in the middle of this parcel. And he was able to get this under contract solely to have secondary access. Due to the wetlands, that will create the natural buffer between this. If you look at the land use, because as he stated, he is in Orange County, but the general land use in the future of everything is commercial. If the building was going to be proposed adjacent to his single-family homes, we would look at the need to buffer in that instance. The land use would help kind of say you don't need to buffer it, but in this commission, and he will be noticed, the next step will be the site plan. It'll be a large-scale site plan, but you'll find that the hotel there will not be any impacts, any active uses other than right here in the corner, a drive aisle. There is water. I don't know if there is sewer, but annexation is eligible at this time, and would love to talk to him about that. So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, with that property being there, that should give them that should be, make it contiguous, so you should be able to do annexation, yeah.
yes. And so that would create he's across from the auto auction, so that's the contiguous already there.
Oh,
But yes, the hotel will be in the middle of the site, yes, and there will not be any structures in this area, just a driveway cut over here.
Mr. Rummer, I got a question for you real quick. Will there'll have to be any mitigation done since part of the wetlands encroaches onto the,
Yes, any wetlands encroachment will need to be mitigated through St. John's, and we'll look at it as well. The benefit of these parcels, they're in the county, even though we're annexing them in. These wetlands on this piece of property, for our comp plan, under the Wekiva, were not considered as part, so we're able to impact wetlands. They still got to do the mitigation through St. John's, whatever that rate is, and, yes, so.
thank you.
And
That answers my question.
Okay.
Yeah, they have it listed when the next meeting is on that.
Yep.
Thank you.
And, yeah, and it's, again, please do fill out the form before you go so that. Okay. Any other additional questions on this issue? All right. Hearing none, we're going to close the public hearing and bring it back up to the dais. Well, any additional questions or anything? If not, let's see, for this one, I believe we'd need two motions. One is for the annexation, and the second one's going to be for the rezoning. So the first one we need is, can I get a motion on the annexation?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion on the annexation.
All right. And I'm assuming that's the approval of the annexation?
Approving the annexation of project AX 11-1985.
All right. We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
I'm sorry?
To recommend approval.
Yes, a motion to recommend approval by Member Lomnick, and there's a second by Member Mellon. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Carried. All right. Now, the second one is the actual rezoning, which includes the two parcels rezoning from Orange County A1 Rural Agriculture to the City of Ocoee C2 Community Commercial.
I'll make that motion to recommend rezoning RZ 191113.
Second.
All right, and again, we have a motion, this time by Member Mellon, seconded by Mr. Lomnick, to rezone the property in question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, once again, unanimously approved. All right, thank you very much. Next one is the Crystal Investments Plaza, substantial amendment to the PUD. Again, public hearing, and we'll bring this again back with our zoning manager, Gajadar. Sorry about that.
For the record, Kiel Gajadar, zoning manager. So the item in front of you is a substantial amendment to the planned unit development, PUD, and land use plan, LUP, for property owned by Crystal Investments. It's at 1414 East Silver Star Road. It's directly off of Silver Star Road to the north, and Ridgefield Avenue to the east. It's approximately 1.73 acres, currently vacant. And the zoning, it's surrounded by various zonings. To the north, we have a single-family R1 residence. To the south, you have a low-density planned unit development. To the east, a commercial PUD. And to the west, a lot that's a C1 zoning, which is our neighborhood shopping zoning. This is an aerial just to give you an idea of what's there. So currently, the lot is vacant. The lot to the east is also vacant. Here's the PUD for low density, R1, and the neighborhood commercial where there's already a convenience store. So back in 2008, we approved the rezoning to PUD ALF from C1 zoning. So originally, that location was a neighborhood commercial as well. The applicant wanted to rezone to a PUD for an assisted living facility, ALF. So they went from a straight zone to a PUD zoning. And this was the proposed site layout back for that. So the amendment being requested is to change the PUD to another type of PUD. So it's going from changing the land use from assisted living facility to professional office and retail. The ALF wasn't viable, so the applicant is choosing to request an amendment to that. What's proposed now is a two-story office and retail building. There's a 9,000 square foot footprint. The first floor is going to be 9,000 square feet of commercial retail, second floor professional office. It is still consistent with the zoning and our future land use because it is keeping that commercial zoning. We're choosing to do a PUD as opposed to going back to straight zoning because it allows us to still set some conditions and have some input into the design of the site. So this is a layout of the proposed two-story office retail building. Just a little bit about the surroundings. So we can put an entrance off of Silver Star because the lot is a little bit elevated. There would be a shared entry to the west and also off of Ridgefield. Because there is residential to the north, directly to the north of this lot, there's going to be a 6-foot brick wall with a 25-foot buffer, landscape buffer. There's going to be a 10-foot buffer to the west, 15-foot buffer to the east, and a 15-foot landscape buffer to the south. Retention is going to be underground. If for some reason this has to change, it will come back to you guys for another approval. However, if it goes as is, this is considered a small-scale site plan. So if approved, this would be as far as what you guys would see. So why I say that is because a small-scale site plan does not need P and Z approval to go on. So upon meeting the Development Review Committee on conversation, they agreed to approve a substantial amendment to the land use. Staff also has no objections because we're going, again, from a PUD for assisted living to a PUD for commercial retail professional office. And if there are any further questions or any questions, I can go ahead and answer these at this time.
I have a few.
All right.
Traffic, I know that always comes up, traffic. I know Silver Star right there, it's almost impossible at certain times to turn, if you're coming from Clark, to turn left into that home development right across the street. I mean, you can't do it. I got to pick up my daughter there in daycare. You cannot turn left at certain times. So how's this going to impact with a commercial with a lot of excess traffic? And my second part of that is, we know that Silver Star, as we've progressed over the years, the traffic has picked up. And at one point in time, eventually, we're gonna have to widen Silver Star. It's just, I think, the future is just gonna happen. Is there gonna be any accommodations to allow for Silver Star to become a 4-lane road in the future, either 10 years, 15 years? Because right now, looking at the site plan, there is really no room for growth in that particular area, as well as for the community that's north of it and, south of it, to get in and out. Basically going back to when it was an assisted living, there was going to be very little traffic going in and out. And now we're taking it to a, commercial plaza, business plaza, which is going to really kick up, foot traffic.
Is there any studies or anything for?
You've got a turn lane and the right-of-way dedication.
Right. What I failed to mention is there is a right-of-way dedication of 20 feet to the front. The turn lane would be off of Ridgefield.
That, the one in Ridgefield, that's the left turn.
Yeah, so there is going to be an entry off of Ridgefield and from the west lot here as well. Oh, you're talking about coming north.
Right.
Okay.
Either the community that somebody go plan south of it. I don't know the name. Is that Olympia? I think it's Olympia.
Silver Glen, where you mean?
You have Silver Glen, and then right across the street from it's Olympia.
I believe so.
Yeah, Lake Olympia. And getting in and out of Lake Olympia right now can be a challenge coming from Clark. Turning left, and now with the addition of all the traffic, that potentially could enter that area. I guess my question is we already have a red light there at Ocoee Hills.
Yeah. And so keep in mind, Silver Star Road is a state road. It's not under our jurisdiction. So that's where the benefit, that's why you provide cross-access, because that makes no direct trips here. The trips will come out into the signalized intersection on this side, but they will also come out to this full access. You can't look at it as creating a trip. The land use has been
Correct.
commercial. The plan to widen Silver Star, the state has that on, it's a plan to widen it. So you look at, does this development take care of what it can. Silver Star Road is either failing or not, they can't fix Silver Star. They couldn't pay to widen and get all the right-of-way. So we have them, A, dedicate right-of-way to help that situation. I'll tell you that we don't want Silver Star to look like it does east of Clark,
Right.
4-lane divided. We want it to be shorter, but we are getting right-of-way. We're helping that future improvement. That's a big part of projects, as you know, is that getting the right-of-way. So we're getting right-of-way, and they are providing a left turn that we have it designed per the DOT specs. They will have to get it ultimately permitted through DOT. So whether it's larger, smaller, whether DOT says right now, no, but we are saying a left turn is needed for safety, and one is being shown to be constructed at the next phase. So we're accomplishing it 3 ways. Not a direct access into the site, off the existing intersections, right-of-way dedication, and providing a turn lane.
That's a
And
thing.
if this was a land use amendment from residential to commercial, then you get another body. But because it's all existing commercial land use, it's not like a new trip, it's just,
Right.
so.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes. Vice Chair.
So I just want to make sure I'm clear on the transition here. So it was originally approved for assisted living facility, which if it were a commercial land use, would assisted living facility fit into that?
Yes.
Not under the traditional zone. So they went PD.
Right, that's what so that's why you did the PD. So now they're coming in and changing to something that would have fit under traditional.
They were originally C1 straight zoning.
Is there, I mean, just out of curiosity, I don't know if the applicant is here or not, and I know we'll get to that base, but why such a dramatic, because to me, that seems like a dramatic switch in development. So I'm just curious as to why the switch.
Sounds like it could get any left of.
So back when they, again, Development Services Director Mike Rumor, back when they made this switch, so this plan met the C1 in the office zoning. Has a maximum height of 35 feet. It meets the setbacks buffering requirement. When they went and converted it to assisted living facilities, that use was becoming popular. Sort of like apartments, the price, the unit point for apartments is 250 to as many as you can get above 300. ALFs, it was still a new trend, and he thought he could get, I think, 60 units. 60 units will not cut it. You're going to see one on another property down east on Silver Star, all the way near the east end of the city, that's at like 95. That's what they tell me is the minimum to make it work. It was a new trend, he didn't know. Under the straight zoning, couldn't do ALF, so we did the plan unit development. So he wants to bring it back to what he had previous. Initially, I said, well, if you rezone it back to C1, then we have no control. Under straight zoning, it can come in as a whatever it wants. So let's amend the PD.
Gotcha.
So we get to see what it is and kind of still keep that control while you have it. Not contract zoning, but we have control, it's a PD. You're gonna either rezone it straight zoning or rezone it into a PD again with a land use plan, and we get to see what it is and kind of control it. So that's why. The price point under an ALF or a unit count of 60 was not going to work. And you're
Okay.
seeing that a lot, or we do on our end. You hear about a lot of these single-family homes and subdivisions being used as assisted living facility. You can, by law, have up to 6 people in a single-family home. That's the trend now. More people are buying homes and running these 6-bed, 5- and 6-bed assisted living facilities. We don't have any that are smaller than 110,000 square foot building, 120 bed.
Okay.
The property owner is out of state, he's not here. Initially, it was gonna be investment, he was gonna build. There's nothing by comp plan, land development code to say no. Even if you look at this site area, there's vacant parcels at Silver Star and Clark. The Ocoee Landings has created 4 more commercial parcels. The existing land uses or zonings along this part as you head west is professional office and C1. The only viable thing this far west has been like a gas station with another little unit cut in here. That's a normal neighborhood. So will this really develop as a 2-story? Don't know. I could see single down the road, but he has that right. Under the zoning, 35 feet. So this is not a PD to ask for any buffer, any type of waivers to make it work. It's just, we had it as a PD, so we're able to keep control in some way.
Okay. Thank you. That clearly answers my question.
So would this open it up for the new owner if we do this amendment to throw in like another dollar store or something like that? Or would the city still have control over what can or can't go in there based off of land usage?
So if he wants to change this to a 1-story, just single use, if the building fits within the footprint and doesn't modify access locations, potentially, yes, it could be. We have a general zoning of commercial retail, we don't have a standard industrial, they don't have one for discount dollar stores. But yes, it could be, yes.
Additional questions? All right. With that, I'm going to open the public hearing then. And Valerie Powell, come on down. And again, give your name and address and your comments.
My name is Valerie Powell. I'm at 510 Ridgefield Avenue. I live in Brentwood, which is just north of the property. We are the second house. So if you look at the picture there, the one with the pool, nope, go to the right. We're on Ridgefield, right here. That is my home, where I have an 8-year-old. And when you start talking about placing a 2-story facility, I have a lot of concerns about windows and individuals sitting in the backyard, just looking into our backyard as my child plays. And I understand that growth is coming and there's nothing we can do about that. We need to progress forward. But we have owned this home for just shy of 30 years. So I grew up in that home. I'm familiar of how the lands have been used. It used to be a baseball field for us. I know there were plans at one point for it to become a preschool. And I think that was the owner previous to Crystal Investments. So, when it was zoned, as it being zoned for a senior living facility, we know that it's not going to be a 2-story facility. And that concern is not there. But as it being business or commercial use with that second story, my request would be, is there some way for us to make it so that windows are not in the upstairs on the backside to where they could look into people's homes or, into their backyards? My second concern is the entranceway that is on Ridgefield Avenue. As you mentioned, sir, the traffic on Silver Star is quite troublesome at Ocoee Hills, but it is also, and with Lake Olympia, but it is also incredibly difficult to make a left-hand turn onto Silver Star Road from Ridgefield at significant points of the day. You can sit there for sometimes excess of 10 minutes waiting to be able to turn at 5 in the afternoon. And, if this business is having one of its right-of-ways to come in and out on Ridgefield, that is going to add quite a bit of traffic and I didn't really understand from the plans, would someone turning right from Silver Star be able to then make a left-hand turn? Because there is right now a city easement that has a sign. So would they be able to make that left-hand turn, or are they going to need to go to Ocoee Hills, go through the entire development to then make a right-hand turn? Because speeding is an issue. You all have graciously put in speed pads that have significantly helped, but there is still very much a speeding issue. And so that would increase that traffic as well. So if you were to make a right-hand turn in here, would you be able to turn left? Because it does not appear that you could.
You can see the island shaded back.
So okay, but what I'm saying is this right here is an existing buffer that is currently there. It is a giant brick sign and not road right through here. And that looks like that would very much block you being able to make a left-hand turn.
So that would remain, Mike?
So then you could not make a left-hand turn. So you would have to drive completely through the development or come through the convenience store. As a neighbor to this facility, that doesn't seem like that's very accommodating to the individuals who have lived there for a very long time and that have families. That's concerning. That's all I had. I'm sorry, I'm used to talking to 5-year-olds.
In regard to the height, currently, it's a 2-story proposed. Prior to the ALF coming in, it was on C1. The maximum building height for C1 is still 35 feet. As far as the accommodation for windows, I'm not sure. We might be able to have some type of say in that with the developer as far as windows.
We, however, wouldn't be on the PZ, since it's below the square footage and it would go out of the P&Z hands. Based off the square footage,
The land use plan and the conditions of approval of the plan unit development create the zoning. Obviously, you guys make a recommendation. You can add conditions to any approval you make. The very good discussion about coming in and not being able to make a left-hand turn because of this existing island. However, these parcels have been non-residential for a long time it's not a landlocked piece of property. It's going to be used. There's going to be a driveway access. Will DOT permit one along the front? That's up to them. We do not believe it meets the criteria based off the separation of this road and the other road to the west.
It looks to me that buffer ends right where the.
It's a public road, and that is a landscape island in the middle with the
Looks like
sign.
it stops
Yes.
right where that turn is.
So
that looks like a demo.
they have it shaded back here, so it looks, if this is correct, we can look on the aerial. So, correct.
That's pretty accurate.
On a staff level, we could not say, well, no, since your only real right access is through this cross access, we're going to deny you because of this island. It was all set up that the residential didn't come down all the way to Silver Star at the time of plating, which was probably the 40s for a reason. And so, yes, the people that come in here and work or patronize at first, if they don't use this, they will come in here and have to do a U-turn.
They're going to end up turning around in my driveway.
Who owns that buffer now?
This is within the right of way. I mean, a buffer is
It's in the right.
it's not a buffer, it's a
The island.
landscape island.
Who
in
owns the
middle.
island?
The city, it's a public right of way, yes.
It's maintained by the residents.
So you see the safety, which is the driveway is as far back as can be on the lot. It's not right, and it wouldn't matter because of this island still here, but you have you generally get that access point as far back from the arterial road as you can. Yes. to deny a access point is a sort of taking. You're not gonna have a Walmart here, so if it was, it would be a totally different setup. It's envisioned to be that light retail, small office, residential-esque type of use. We have more commercial to the west as well. So yes, for us, this improvement and this island is not a reason to deny, to say you cannot. It doesn't, there's not a land development code item it's not meeting, so.
Can that be made as an exit only, though? A right-only exit?
That's sort of, I don't have that answer. Because then you're not, there. Then the parcel does not have an entrance.
Yeah, but you do
It
have
has-
the entrance off the other side, correct? Because that does have.
It's a cross-access.
Right, so
entrance.
they do have access.
I don't know if we can mandate it. I don't know if we can,
I mean,
before, yeah, so,
the state would allow a front access off of.
Well, we had that issue, if I remember, with the Family Dollar. And we also had that issue with the school, that kindergarten
see,
school, if I
the
remember
Dollar
right.
General, it goes as far as it can to the west,
Yeah,
and they go up and use cross-access.
right.
And it has 2 access points, really, it's gonna have 3, that one will have 3 access points. Yes.
If this is approved, will there be stages that it returns to us for further action?
No. Only if the underground stormwater does not work or is too costly. It'll work because it's high land. If it were too costly and they need to move things around that adjust it, what we consider substantially, if the building size were to diminish, no. If it's moving to where it's placing closer, there's significant change to the site to make it work, it would come in under a amendment to the PD.
Now, what about, I understand that, growth is coming. I mean, we need it. I mean,
Yes.
those areas need to be developed, but could we make a condition on this because I don't think a 2-story building in itself would really, it doesn't fit the area. It doesn't fit the existing buildings. You got the gas station with the taco truck there, with the barber shop, and then you got the other gas station on the other side of Ocoee Hills.
Is there two-story professional building?
There's not a 2-story.
Not on that road.
But under the general zoning, 35 feet is the maximum height, so you can get 2 stories.
So, can you help me remind me? So, what are the specific issues that we look for to find this as something that we can, well, here's what I'm struggling with, is timing. I feel like the timing of this is not appropriate because there's some things that with the traffic and the access and even with us wanting to lean toward maybe putting on some additional conditions that maybe there needs to be some more thought put into it. So, but I'm not sure if that's an appropriate thing for us to consider at this point, or whether at this point, because it is something that is, fits within the small scale review, that it's really more of a simple yes or no. And I don't know if that's a question to
Okay.
you or to Ms.
So the small scale is just a process. Under the small scale, where the building size is under 25,000 square feet, it doesn't require the public meetings. That's all. Still has the same engineered review, still has to go to St. John's. The turn lane would need to be
address.
approved, engineered, constructed under DOT. So all it does is, you're not gonna see it again.
I have one last question. So on the ALF, right? I threw it away already.
Do you have any questions for the
Oh, I'm
Neighbor?
sorry.
Okay,
No.
I'll call you.
No, thank you.
So on the ALF, it was approved with the same right-of-ways, right?
Yes.
All right.
Or square footage.
Member Mellon is correct. ALF generates a lot less.
No,
trips.
sure, I get it, but I mean,
Yes. And so in one aspect, you have a planned unit development, we can nullify it after a certain amount of time if nothing is built.
I think you got 2 years for permitting.
It's been a lot of years.
2008,
So-
right?
No.
So, but we like to, if you have, I say control, if you have the ability to control, we want to keep that. So, yes. This has passed the engineering, go to the proposed, has passed engineering review. The good aspect is the windows, architecture, some things you can say condition upon.
And we can do those conditions here.
Yes, yes.
Okay, because once it leaves here, if we approve it. But can we do a condition for could you even give it a square footage condition?
Yes.
So you could say it needs to be a minimum of 25,000 square foot. So that means that if there's any documents that come back, that we'd have the process of reviewing the site plan and layout development.
Yeah, you would want to do anything bigger than that square footage, because the more, that is probably close to the largest building use you can get to meet parking and setbacks and buffers, so.
The other thing too, just as a reminder, y'all, we're doing recommendations.
Yes.
Well, that too.
Correct.
Because we can recommend what changes we would like to see on this. That does not necessarily mean the city commission will agree with
Correct.
us. So just a word of caution that, because I like the idea of where you're going, if we want to add some additional conditions to it, but do understand that just because we add the condition does not necessarily mean the city will follow
Correct.
suit. So that would be the only caveat that I would throw in there. The other question, I guess, while I'm asking or talking here is there a possibility of the city and the property owner to get together and possibly do something with the island so that there would be a cut-through in it so that you don't have to make I don't like U-turns. For the amount of road that you're going up just to turn around to get in that, I would almost think it would do the city and the developer better if we came to an agreement on putting an opening in that island and allowing the traffic to come across if you're going to have the access not be a right
Yeah,
only.
that's certainly something, yes. We look at.
Yeah, I like that. I'd also, if I were to make a condition, be single story. It's two-story, just does not fit that area at all.
Let me, do you have a drawing of the building at all?
No. So I'm thinking this is really speculative. It's
That's why I was concerned about.
It's exactly what, as a staff under the DRC, we approved years ago, right when the economy. So it was easy for him to say, well, I want to go back to that. It was easy for me to say, well, let's keep it PD, because let's not rezone it to C2, because then it could, you wouldn't see any aspect of it. It could be a, I want to say, it could be automotive something.
If I remember years ago, the parcel to the east of this one, the developer wanted to put a two-story on there. And we got to some kind of compromise that the windows would have been not necessarily windows, but more like above.
Exactly,
above, near the
right.
ceiling, somewhat of a daylight glass or what have you. Of course, it didn't, economy tanked and it worked out, but maybe that's a condition, if we had no choice, because it does meet 35 feet height. Perhaps, consider that, not the windows, but just necessarily,
That's right. The one just on the east side, when I first started, came
Yeah.
in, they want to do like a two-story with say there was a liquor store or something in there.
Yeah.
They were proposing.
And we had the same issue
we had-
because the residents were like, hey, it's gonna be right there in my house, for
Right.
view-wise.
Right.
And he did compromise to that kind of, just the sunlight glass type above, maybe. But he just never built it, so maybe we can take that into consideration when they design the building.
All right. If there's no additional comments from anyone else, what I'm going to do is close the public hearing and bring it back to the dais for any additional comments and/or a motion. We only need one motion, so whatever changes that you may want to put into this amendment to the PUD, I guess we sort of want to work it out, and maybe we'll probably use your help at the end here as far as how they need to word this so it meets it legally there. But with that, I'll throw it open to, does anyone want to make a motion? And
May I ask one question?
certainly.
In your discussions with the applicant, has staff made any projections about the financial viability of doing a one-story property or other things less than what he is asking for?
No, sir. Just, he probably thought we would have just helped it to get to this point, just probably rezone it to C, back to C1. Rezone it back to C1, but I was like, no, we've got PD, let's keep what we can, so. No, none of those type of discussions yet.
Thank you.
So, Mr. Chair, I would, my concern is about the two-story. Well, my main concern is about timing, but I would feel more comfortable voting or making a recommendation, making a positive recommendation to the city commission if we can add a condition that it remain a one-story
I agree with
building.
that.
So I would, if this is okay, to make a motion to recommend approval of the substantial amendment to the planned unit development, project number RZ 191012, with the added condition that the building remain or not exceed one story.
Second.
All right. I guess before we vote on that, are there any additional amendments anybody wants to make to that to add anything else?
I would like to add
Or is that
for
going
the
to-
turn lane, what you mentioned earlier, where if they can cut through that island so there is no U-turns, because that's just a safety hazard right there. There needs to be a left-hand turn and not a U-turn. And I don't know how to word that, so.
Still second.
Okay. So we've got a motion to limit it to a one-story. We have an amendment to the motion to, and if I get this wrong, somebody correct me, but we have a amendment to the motion that on, I believe that's Richfield? Richfield Avenue, that we look at having a cut-through where the island is so that it is a left-hand turn instead of a U-turn to get there.
I think that's Tom's label for it, does it?
And so that would, so that is the amendment as I understand it.
There's a, Mr. Chairman, if I can see now.
Tom's label for it.
Yeah, I thought this was a tree, but that's the end of the island. So that's just painted. So there's no physical cut-through required. But we'll keep his condition that the left, it either be painted or whatever to north, yes.
Hey, if they can get a new sign for that area, that'd be awesome too.
That's not good.
All right, so we have an amendment to the motion to add a left turn lane off of Ridgefield. Is that worded
Yep, you're-
correctly, and I do understand.
Does the motion maker accept the amendment to the motion?
Yes, I do accept.
So now the motion has been amended to include the left turn. off
Do
the
we have to do we have to vote on the amendment first, or do we, or,
No,
no,
you
we
would
could just?
you need a second yet on your motion.
Well, I think I had a second on both.
Still second.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was gonna say,
Okay, so
Member
you
Lomnick
seconded
had
the-
seconded to both, so I
Okay.
just wanted to
No,
make
you're
sure
good.
that I didn't have
Yep,
to
the
do two.
motion's been amended and seconded, and you can move forward with the motion.
All right, so we have a motion, and as I understand it now, it's to limit it to a one-story building with a left turn lane on Ridgefield. Am I presenting that correctly?
correct.
All right, there was, motion was made.
A left turn movement.
Movement, okay.
Not necessarily 12-foot lane.
Okay.
but, being able to make that.
Yeah, left turn movement, okay. So, motion was made by Vice Chair Williams, seconded by Member Lomnick. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. All right. I think we got that there. All right. That was the only motion on that one, so.
Mr. Chairman, while they're still here, if we kind of have it progressing,
Yep.
but when we take these comments back to the applicant, if we see a need to continue it, they'll be notified via the 300-foot notice that the item's been continued and gonna
Okay.
be rescheduled. If not, it'll still track on what your letter said. So- Yes.
Right.
At some point, but right now it's tracking to still go at that time in January, right? The second meeting in January, but if for
Yep.
some reason he wants to rework it and we're going to continue that meeting, we'll let you know.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right, that gets us to C, which is the capital improvement element. Again, another public hearing. And this time, I believe it is Director Rummer.
Yes. A couple of the planning and zoning members that were on the last commission, and obviously Commissioner Keller will understand this. This is an amendment to the comprehensive plan. We have an element called the capital improvements element that talks about how we plan improvements, facilities in the 20-year plan. And in that is a table of your 5-year capital improvements plan. The way the city does their finance process is they do all of their budget hearings at one time. They include their capital improvement budgeting, the city's budget, the income and expenses, and also the community redevelopment area budget is adopted all during the budget meetings and worked out at the budget workshop. So I'm bringing you a request to add the approved capital improvement, 5-year capital improvement plan into the CIE element. And I'm telling you that it's already adopted. By law, the state recognizes this is sort of a perfunctory process, so they allow it by just one public hearing, the city commission, a first reading, adoption, because you're just adding that table each year into your comp plan. I say that to say the 5-year capital improvement plan, again, if you want to have a participation as a citizen or the P&Z member, you really need to be a part of it during the budget workshop, budget process. There's nothing you can do to change the capital improvement plan with any conditions. That would be kind of like a, hey, think of this for the future commission type of a deal. So
But we
All
can
that-
say on record we don't like it.
that's,
Okay.
well, more than welcome to say that. Yes. And so we process this after the budget and after the final budget books are ready and dispersed to the public, and then we put it on the next available agenda. So with that, recommend adoption of the capital improvement program into the capital improvement element of the comprehensive plan.
All right. Any questions before we open this to the public? We'll open to the public. Any comments? Seeing none, we'll close the public hearing, bring it back up to the dais. Any additional questions on this?
Do we have like a community of tennis players in the Ocoee, just out of curiosity? Other
I
than,
know there's someone that offers lessons out at Tiger Minor Park.
People playing tennis there all the
That's,
time.
yes, Tiger Minor Park is our tennis.
I've never seen people, I said the same thing last year over these tennis courts. Do we need 3 tennis courts? Nobody plays tennis in the one that they have there
Where at?
now.
Where's that at?
Oh,
Is that Big Netty or somewhere?
hold on a second.
Minor?
Tiger Minor.
Yes.
Tiger Minor, yeah, there are tennis players there.
There's a lot of players there, and just going back at past history, because I know it failed the last time, if I remember correctly, but what they were looking for was to have the additional tennis courts there. Because if we can get them, one of the things that we can then do is have various competitions there. We could actually have contests where the city can make some good money off of having various tennis groups come in. Right now, we don't have enough tennis courts. And like I said, I know it went back and forth the last time, and it did not get approved that last time. But there are some definite benefits to adding some additional courts there. And if they are looking to do that, that is a good plus.
And on the existing tennis courts, you can make pickleball courts, which is really popular. We've had someone present to the commission to convert some of those to pickleball courts, but you can play pickleball on a tennis court.
Right.
They can set up several courts.
Well, I will concede that I did not think about that.
I think that was also along the same lines over by the women's softball field, the park that the city has adjacent to that. There was talk at some time, and I don't know, I don't remember if that was actually in this 5-year plan, but I know there has been talk of adding a couple more softball fields there, because that would allow us to do the same thing, and softball fields bring in a lot of money. So again, it's another one of these items that could be beneficial to the city if we have a big enough facility in order to do that. But yeah, I know with the tennis courts, that is one of the things that they are looking at.
Well, I know this has already been approved, but it's going to be a mute. But are these like, just out of curiosity, like these numbers, and are they just kind of like guesstimates, or where they come up with some of these?
No, they take them off of construction prices, and they even do the inflation rate if it's out at year 4. Yes, it's not a swag, but it's a very educated professional estimate.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to recommend.
Approval? Okay, we have a motion to recommend. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion by Member Lumnick, a second by Member Wunderlich. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried, unanimous? All right. That concludes basically business for the evening. We do have miscellaneous project status reports there, Mike? Or?
Yeah, any burning questions? I can update you on a couple of items.
I do have a question or a concern. I met with, this isn't my district, but I was over there at meeting with some friends and residents in that neighborhood behind the Dunkin' Donuts. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Where the Dollar Tree is going in. And you know that there's been recent media on Dollar Trees, I don't know if you've heard of it, about their their management of storage and attraction of rodents and all kinds of things. Some of it may be hype, I don't know. But I just said to them, well, I can at least ask the question, what are there, are there things that we put in place in our development process that would prevent them from improperly storing within their facility and outside of the facility to the extent that it would attract rodents and all kinds of critters? Because they already have gators in that area and snakes and raccoons and other things. They don't want to add the rodents to it. Just out of curiosity.
They are adjacent to a wetland which has rodents.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's true.
So,
I was just curious as to whether there was anything from a storage
Yes.
standpoint, because that was the issue.
No, there is not.
There's nothing? Okay.
There's not, it is not permissible to store carts outside.
Mm-hmm.
It's not permissible to have outside merchandise. They will have a dumpster enclosure.
Yeah.
Now, this development is all one planned unit.
Yeah,
And the planned unit did not state anything, any type of increased sort of policing as well.
yeah.
So it just falls to the general land development code, and there's hours of delivery that limits that, but otherwise, no. It's just a,
Okay. I just told them I'd at least ask the question.
right, yes. The idea of this type of development is the way we made it work with the retail and the residential, they have access so they can walk,
Right.
almost like a little urban feel, even though it's not even an urban area, so.
Yeah,
But at least they know from day one,
yeah,
this is not a conservation area that will never be built on. It is commercial,
yeah.
because it is a part of their commercial development, 40 single-family lots and commercial. So you have a Dollar Tree, again, it's just general commercial. There's no way to limit.
Yeah.
We've got a 15,000 square foot retail building, which will have a number of units, 8, just depends on what user. You have the Dunkin' Donuts. This one, we put a limitation for fuel to 6 pumps, 12 fueling positions. This would be like the gas stations you see over on South McGuire, the smaller
Oh, the smaller
neighborhood gas station. So,
Yeah, no, you're not gonna see a wall out there.
I thought the city could put like moratoriums on certain types of businesses regardless of, like no used tire stores or
you could
no.
say no tobacco stores, but you can't say no retail stores.
Right.
I mean, that would,
I thought we had a moratorium in the city last year for something. It was like either like tire stores, dollar stores, or there was something that was like a 6 or 8 month.
and
or-
we put that in there, and with we put,
That was on 50, right?
yes, we had a way, I forget what we called it. But it's not a zoning use.
Right.
It's not a zoning code.
Right.
Dollar store. So until we figured out a way to kind of regulate them, yes. But we could not, this PD was approved before then, so. If we would have come up with criteria, this subdivision wouldn't have had to comply, because it was entitled before that.
All right.
But good
Any other
question.
questions there? If not, before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I do want to say, and most of us don't realize it because we're actually here, but these are televised every meeting. And our man in charge of that, Ken, is retiring.
Yeah.
So Ken, we want to say congratulations. Thank you for the job you've done all this time. We really do appreciate it. So thank you very much. Congratulations, and enjoy your retirement. And with that, we will take a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion to adjourn.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, so we have a motion by member Mellon, a second by member Lomnick. Lou, since member Wunderlich is off the dais, I believe you get to vote. So you get to vote to retire. Or to adjourn. So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.